Impact assessment of projected 35% growth in renewable energy and infrastructure sectors by late 2026. Overview of the Davos 2025 Forum. The World Economic Forum's annual meeting in Davos, held from January 20 to 24, 2025, gathered global leaders, business executives, and experts to discuss pivotal themes such as reimagining growth and safeguarding the planet. Against a backdrop of anticipated global economic growth of 3.3% in 2025, the forum emphasized the urgent need for investments in renewable energy and infrastructure, projecting a 35% growth in these sectors by late 2026. This optimistic outlook is primarily attributed to initiatives launched during the Davos discussions. Economic context. The projected growth comes at a time when inflation rates are expected to decline from 4.2% to 3.5% by 2026. Although this growth is below historical averages, participants at Davos viewed the momentum toward decarbonization as essential for sustainable development. The forum underscored that amidst geopolitical tensions and economic fragmentation, the transition to clean technologies is increasingly seen as a necessity, not an option. Key themes and discussions. 1. The path to sustainable growth. Key figures including Jesper Brodin, CEO of IKEA, and Damilola Ogunbaya, UN Special Representative, stressed the inevitability of transforming business practices towards sustainability. Their remarks highlighted a growing consensus that collaborative efforts and innovative partnerships are critical to achieving climate goals even amid diverse political landscapes. 2. Urgent climate action. Sessions at the forum addressed pressing issues including climate change, resource management, and strategies to adapt to extreme weather events. Notably, the session "Water at a Tipping Point" projected that half of the global population could face water stress by 2030. Emphasizing the need for improved water management. 3. The Kivu-Kinshasa Green Corridor. One significant initiative announced during the forum was the establishment of the Kivu-Kinshasa Green Corridor in the Democratic Republic of Congo. This project aims to protect biodiversity while promoting green development, showcasing a commitment to environmental sustainability. Economic challenges and opportunities. 1. Public debt and investment needs. The forum also highlighted the rising public debt in developing countries, currently at 206% of GDP. This financial strain necessitates innovative approaches to stimulate growth while ensuring sustainability. The discussions pointed to the urgent need for an annual financing requirement of $1.7 trillion for clean energy transitions in emerging economies. 2. Diverse perspectives on growth. A common thread throughout the discussions was the call for a unified approach to climate action and economic stability. Differences emerged regarding strategies to achieve these goals, with some advocating for aggressive regulatory changes while others called for market-driven solutions. Future projections and commitments. The Davos 2025 meeting set the stage for future climate initiatives leading up to COP30 in Brazil. The commitments made included tripling renewable energy capacity and doubling energy efficiency by 2030. These goals reflect a collective recognition of the urgent need for action to address climate change and its impacts. Conclusion. The outcomes of the Davos 2025 meeting are expected to resonate through global economic and environmental policies, shaping the trajectory of sustainable development efforts in the coming years. The projected 35% growth in the renewable energy and infrastructure sectors by late 2026 offers a hopeful outlook. But it will require significant collaboration and investment to realize this potential. The discussions underscored that the transition to a sustainable future is not merely a trend but an imperative for global prosperity and resilience. The anticipated 35% growth in the renewable energy and infrastructure sectors by late 2026, following initiatives launched during the World Economic Forum in Davos 2025, presents several counterintuitive insights that challenge common perceptions about economic growth and environmental action. 1. Decoupling economic growth from traditional energy sources. one counterintuitive aspect of the projected growth is the notion that significant economic growth can occur while simultaneously reducing reliance on fossil fuels. Traditionally, economic expansion has been closely tied to increased energy consumption, particularly from non-renewable sources. However, the discussions at Davos indicate a shift in this paradigm, suggesting that it is possible to achieve robust economic growth through investments in renewable energy and sustainable infrastructure without perpetuating the environmental degradation associated with fossil fuel consumption. 2. Geopolitical fragmentation as a catalyst for innovation. Another surprising element is the idea that geopolitical tensions and fragmentation could accelerate innovation and investment in renewable energy. While one might assume that such tensions would hinder global cooperation and slow down progress on climate initiatives, the forum highlighted that these challenges could lead to a more urgent push for sustainable solutions. The sentiment shared by leaders at Davos was that nations and companies are increasingly viewing the transition to renewable energy as a necessity for economic stability, prompting them to seek innovative technologies and practices even in the face of political strife. 3. The role of business in climate action. The belief that business interests are primarily profit-driven and indifferent to environmental concerns is also challenged. Notable leaders at the forum argued that corporations are beginning to recognize that sustainable practices can align with long-term profitability. Jesper Brodin, CEO of IKEA, stated that the transformation towards sustainability is unstoppable, indicating a shift in corporate strategies where businesses see environmental responsibility as integral to their growth models. This perspective contradicts the stereotype of corporate entities resisting change due to financial implications. For public debt and sustainable investments, the discussions surrounding rising public debt in developing countries presented a counterintuitive viewpoint that high debt levels could actually drive innovation in financing sustainable investments. The narrative typically suggests that nations burdened by debt will prioritize short-term financial stability over long-term investments in renewable energy. However, leaders at Davos indicated a growing recognition that innovative financing mechanisms could be developed to address sustainability challenges, suggesting that the urgency of financial constraints may compel countries to seek more sustainable growth avenues. 5. Immediate necessity of climate action despite economic challenges. The expected global growth rate of 3.3% in 2025, while lower than historical averages juxtaposed with the need for urgent climate action, illustrates a paradox. The pressure for immediate climate action is intensifying even as economic growth remains sluggish. This indicates a growing acceptance that economic growth and environmental sustainability must coexist, which counters the common notion that economic downturns necessitate a sacrifice of environmental goals. 6. The inevitable shift towards decarbonization. The discussions emphasized that decarbonization is not merely an option but an inevitability driven by market forces and consumer demand. This challenges the prevailing idea that substantial shifts in energy policy require consensus or long-term political stability. The consensus among leaders was that the market for clean technologies is expanding rapidly irrespective of political changes, suggesting a robust demand for sustainable solutions that may outpace traditional fossil fuel investments. 7. Water stress as a catalyst for climate action. The alarming projections regarding water stress, where half of the global population could face water scarcity by 2030, may seem like an impending crisis that would hinder economic progress. However, the discussions at Davos position this challenge as a catalyst for innovation in sustainable practices with a focus on water reuse and management. This indicates a potential for economic growth stemming from addressing environmental issues rather than being solely a barrier to it. 8. Insurance markets and climate resilience. The predicted rise in insurance premiums for climate-related risks is often viewed negatively, suggesting increased costs for businesses and consumers. Yet, the discussions at Davos framed this as an opportunity for companies to innovate in climate resilience and adaptation strategies. This suggests a shift in how markets respond to environmental risks, presenting a chance for growth through increased investment in sustainable practices. 9. Biodiversity and economic opportunity. The emphasis on biodiversity as a critical element of sustainable development challenges the notion that environmental conservation is at odds with economic growth. Initiatives like the Kivu-Kinshasa Green Corridor highlight that protecting biodiversity can align with economic opportunities, presenting a dual benefit that supports both ecological health and economic sustainability. 10. Market-driven solutions versus regulatory approaches. The varying perspectives on achieving climate goals, with some advocating for regulatory changes and others for market-driven approaches, underscore a complex reality. It suggests that an effective transition to renewable energy may not solely rely on government regulations but could also be significantly influenced by market dynamics and consumer behavior, challenging the assumption that regulation is the primary driver of change. These insights indicate a transformative shift in how economic growth, environmental sustainability, and corporate responsibility are perceived and interlinked, suggesting that the future of economic development may increasingly rely on sustainable practices and innovative solutions. The World Economic Forum (WEF) annual meeting in Davos, held from January 20 to 24, 2025, brought together leaders from various sectors to discuss significant global challenges and opportunities, particularly focusing on the projected 35% growth in the renewable energy and infrastructure sectors by late 2026. This growth is a critical outcome of initiatives launched during the forum, emphasizing the urgent need for investments in clean technologies and sustainable energy systems. Overlooked insights: significance of economic fragmentation and public debt. Among the various themes discussed, the implications of economic fragmentation and rising public debt in developing countries are crucial points that many might overlook. The conversation surrounding economic growth has often revolved around the immediate benefits of transitioning to renewable energy, but the underlying economic challenges present significant long-term risks. 1. Economic fragmentation. The discussions highlighted a shift from hyperglobalization to a more fragmented economic landscape. While participants acknowledged the importance of collaboration across borders to achieve climate goals, they also recognized that geopolitical tensions can hinder progress. The divergence in economic policies among nations is likely to complicate cooperation on sustainability initiatives. This fragmentation can lead to inefficiencies in resource allocation and investment, making it harder for countries to meet their climate commitments. Leaders like Ana Botten from Banco Santander emphasized that the difference between modest and robust growth rates has significant implications, potentially exacerbating inequality and limiting innovation. The significance of this fragmentation lies in its potential to stall global efforts towards decarbonization and sustainable practices. If countries prioritize national interests over collective climate actions, the ambitious goals set during Davos may not be met, leading to increased environmental degradation and social unrest. 2. Rising public debt. The WEF reported that public debt in developing countries has reached alarming levels, standing at 206% of GDP. This economic strain severely limits the ability of these nations to invest in renewable energy and infrastructure. As highlighted by UN Trade and Development Secretary General Rebecca Greenspan, many countries are spending more on servicing debt than on essential services like education and health. This presents a dual challenge. Not only do these nations need to find ways to stimulate economic growth, but they must also do so while addressing sustainability and climate change. The implications of rising public debt are profound. It can lead to austerity measures that cut funding for critical infrastructure projects, including renewable energy initiatives. If governments are forced to allocate resources towards debt repayment rather than investment in green technologies, the anticipated growth in these sectors could falter. Thus, the link between economic health and sustainability efforts is not merely academic, it is a pressing reality that can dictate the success of global climate initiatives. Urgency of climate action and the broader economic context. The urgency of climate action was another central theme at Davos, particularly in light of the recent record temperatures and the clear evidence of climate change impacts. The discussions underscored that climate change is not just an environmental issue but a multifaceted challenge that intersects with economic development, social equity, and global stability. Leaders from various sectors, including Jesper Brodin, CEO of IKEA, and Damolola Ogunbaya, UN Special Representative, pointed out that the roadmap to transformation in the energy sector has already begun and is crucial for future sustainability. Significantly, the dialogue around climate adaptation and mitigation strategies revealed that businesses must move beyond target setting to implement actionable plans. The call for businesses to demonstrate tangible evidence of transition rather than just setting ambitious goals highlights the need for accountability and measurable outcomes in climate initiatives. Water stress and resource management. Another critical yet often overlooked aspect of the discussions was the projection that half of the global population could face water stress by 2030. This alarming statistic emphasizes the interconnected nature of climate issues. Water management is increasingly becoming a focal point in climate discussions as extreme weather events exacerbate existing challenges in water availability and quality. The emphasis on innovative water management strategies, including water reuse and better regulatory frameworks, is essential not only for addressing immediate water scarcity but also for ensuring the resilience of communities in the face of climate change. Kivu-Kinshasa Green Corridor Initiative. The launch of the Kivu-Kinshasa Green Corridor in the Democratic Republic of Congo is a noteworthy initiative that aims to protect biodiversity while promoting green development. This project exemplifies how sustainable practices can be integrated with economic development and environmental stewardship. However, the success of such initiatives will depend on adequate funding and support from both local and international stakeholders. The commitment to protecting biodiversity within the context of economic development is a critical narrative that must be amplified in future discussions. The role of public-private partnerships. The forum underscored the importance of public-private partnerships in driving the energy transition. As the financing of a lower carbon economy is a defining challenge of the era, collaboration between governments, businesses, and financial institutions is vital for unlocking the necessary investments. The discussions on innovative financing mechanisms and the need for de-risking solutions to facilitate investment in clean energy projects are essential for driving progress in emerging economies. Final thoughts. The WEF annual meeting in Davos 2025 set a critical tone for the upcoming years, emphasizing the importance of a unified approach to climate action and economic stability. While the anticipated 35% growth in the renewable energy and infrastructure sectors is promising, it is essential to recognize the broader economic context, namely the challenges of economic fragmentation and rising public debt, that could impede progress. The urgency of addressing these issues cannot be overstated, as they hold the key to achieving the ambitious climate goals set by global leaders. The dialogue at Davos serves as a reminder that while technology and innovation are crucial, the path to a sustainable future will require a collective commitment to overcoming economic and political barriers, ensuring that sustainability becomes an integral part of economic growth strategies worldwide. 1. Projected growth in renewable energy and infrastructure. The anticipated 35% growth in the renewable energy and infrastructure sectors by late 2026 is a pivotal point for economic and environmental strategies globally. This growth stems from the initiatives launched at the Davos 2025 meeting and underscores the importance of substantial investments in clean technologies and sustainable energy systems. The discussions at the forum highlighted that despite geopolitical tensions and economic fragmentation, the push for decarbonization is increasingly recognized as an essential need rather than a mere option. This trend indicates a shift in global priorities towards sustainability, which could reshape investment flows and economic structures in favor of renewable sectors. 2. Climate change and resource management. The emphasis placed on climate change and resource management during the Davos meeting reflects an urgent call for adaptive strategies to address extreme weather events and resource scarcity. Key sessions highlighted alarming predictions such as half of the global population facing water stress by 2030, emphasizing the critical need for innovative solutions in resource management. The Kivu-Kinshasa Green Corridor initiative was presented as a model for balancing biodiversity preservation with economic development, showcasing how environmental initiatives can coexist with growth objectives. This point underlines the interconnectedness of climate action, resource management, and sustainable economic development. 3. Economic challenges and public debt. The discussions at Davos also addressed the rising public debt in developing countries. Currently at an alarming 206% of GDP. This financial strain presents significant challenges to stimulating growth while ensuring sustainability. The forum called for innovative approaches to combat this challenge, emphasizing that without addressing public debt and creating sustainable growth pathways, the goals set for climate action may be out of reach. This highlights the need for a dual focus on economic stability and environmental responsibility, illustrating the complex relationship between fiscal policy and climate initiatives. 4. Collaboration and innovative partnerships. A recurring theme at the forum was the necessity of collaboration and innovative partnerships across sectors to achieve climate goals. Leaders emphasized that climate change is a cross-cutting issue that requires cohesive action from governments, businesses, and civil society. The sentiment shared by figures such as Jesper Brodin and Damilola Ogunbayi reflects a belief that the momentum towards sustainability is unstoppable, driven by collective action. This perspective stresses the importance of fostering partnerships that can leverage resources, share knowledge, and create synergies, ultimately leading to more effective climate strategies and sustainable development trajectories. 1. The Marshall Plan 1948–1952. Following World War II, the United States initiated the Marshall Plan, formerly known as the European Recovery Program. This ambitious program aimed to provide economic assistance to rebuild European economies devastated by the war, thereby preventing the spread of communism and fostering political stability. The plan allocated over $12 billion, approximately $130 billion today, to help rebuild war-torn regions, remove trade barriers, modernize industry, and improve European prosperity. The Marshall Plan is widely credited with revitalizing the European economy and laying the groundwork for the European Union, showcasing the importance of collaborative international efforts in economic recovery and development. 2. The Green Revolution 1940s to 1960s. The Green Revolution refers to a period when agriculture in many parts of the world dramatically improved due to advancements in technology, crop management, and the introduction of high-yielding varieties of seeds. Initiated in the 1940s primarily in Mexico and later spreading to India and other countries, the movement involved the use of chemical fertilizers, pesticides, and irrigation techniques. The result was a significant increase in food production, which helped avert famines in several countries and supported the growing global population. It demonstrated how technological innovation and international collaboration could impact food security and agricultural productivity. 3. The Kyoto Protocol 1997. The Kyoto Protocol was an international treaty that committed its parties to reduce greenhouse gas emissions based on the premise that global warming exists and human-made CO2 emissions have caused it. Adopted in Kyoto, Japan. In 1997 and coming into force in 2005, the protocol established legally binding obligations for developed countries to reduce their emissions by an average of 5.2% below 1990 levels during the first commitment period from 2008 to 2012. The protocol marked a significant step in global climate governance and highlighted the need for collaborative international action to address environmental challenges, setting the stage for future agreements like the Paris Agreement. Future outlook: predictions for renewable energy and infrastructure growth by 2026. The World Economic Forum's annual meeting in Davos 2025 has set the stage for transformative changes in the global economy, particularly in the renewable energy and infrastructure sectors. The anticipated 35% growth in these sectors by late 2026 is underpinned by several key initiatives and trends that are expected to shape the future. Here are the predictions regarding this growth trajectory along with the implications for various stakeholders. 1. Rapid acceleration of renewable energy technologies. By 2026, advancements in renewable energy technologies such as solar, wind, and energy storage will lead to significant cost reductions and efficiency improvements. The global transition to renewable energy is expected to gain momentum driven by innovations in energy generation and storage solutions. As governments and private sectors invest heavily in research and development, the cost of renewable technologies is projected to drop by an additional 20 to 30% compared to 2025 levels. This shift will make renewables more competitive against fossil fuels, accelerating their adoption worldwide. 2. Enhanced policy frameworks and international collaboration. Initiatives launched at Davos combined with commitments made during COP30 in Brazil will lead to more cohesive international policies aimed at promoting renewable energy and sustainable infrastructure. Countries will likely implement stricter regulations on carbon emissions, incentivizing the shift towards clean energy. Collaborative efforts among nations will also emerge, focusing on sharing technology and best practices. Countries that lag in renewable energy adoption will be pressured to enhance their policies or face economic disadvantages. 3. Increased investments in sustainable infrastructure. The global need for resilient infrastructure will drive investments into sustainable projects, particularly in developing countries. The predicted growth in the renewable energy sector will be closely accompanied by infrastructure developments such as smart grids, electric vehicle EV charging networks, and green building initiatives. Public-private partnerships will become more common, distributing financial risks and enabling faster project implementation. By 2026, an estimated $1.7 trillion annually will be required for clean energy transitions in emerging economies, spurring investment opportunities. 4. Focus on climate resilience and adaptation strategies. The increasing frequency of extreme weather events will necessitate a paradigm shift in how infrastructure is designed and built. By 2026, the focus will be on creating climate-resilient infrastructure that can withstand adverse conditions. This will involve integrating renewable energy solutions into existing infrastructure and ensuring that new projects incorporate sustainable practices. Companies that can innovate in this space will find new markets and revenue streams. 5. Decarbonization and corporate responsibility. With heightened awareness of climate change, corporations will be compelled to adopt more aggressive sustainability goals. By 2026, it is expected that over 50% of the world's largest companies will integrate climate targets into their corporate strategies, focusing on emissions reduction and sustainable practices. This corporate responsibility will reflect consumer expectations and regulatory pressures, further driving investments in renewable energy and sustainable infrastructure. 6. Growth of the circular economy. The transition to renewable energy will be accompanied by a shift towards a circular economy where waste is minimized and materials are reused. By 2026, industries will increasingly adopt circular practices, which will not only reduce their carbon footprint but also create economic opportunities in recycling and sustainable materials. This shift will be supported by regulatory frameworks that promote sustainable production and consumption. 7. Technological innovations and integration. Technological advancements, particularly in artificial intelligence, AI, blockchain, and the Internet of Things (IoT), will revolutionize the energy and infrastructure sectors. By 2026, these technologies will enable smarter energy management solutions, optimize energy consumption, and enhance grid stability. The integration of renewable energy sources into existing systems will be streamlined, facilitating a more efficient energy distribution network. 8. Emergence of new economic opportunities. As the renewable energy and infrastructure sectors grow, new economic opportunities will emerge, particularly in job creation. It is projected that millions of jobs will be created in areas such as renewable energy installation, maintenance, research, and sustainable construction. Workforce development programs will be essential to equip workers with the necessary skills to thrive in these new industries. 9. Geopolitical implications and energy independence. The shift towards renewable energy will have significant geopolitical implications. By 2026, countries that invest heavily in renewable energy will enhance their energy independence, reducing reliance on fossil fuel imports. This shift could lead to shifts in global power dynamics, with nations that successfully transition to renewables gaining economic and political leverage. 10. Public awareness and community engagement. Public awareness of climate change and its impacts will continue to grow, leading to increased community engagement in sustainability initiatives. By 2026, grassroots movements advocating for renewable energy and sustainable infrastructure will gain momentum, influencing local and national policies. Communities will play a crucial role in driving the adoption of clean energy solutions, making it a bottom-up approach to sustainability. Conclusion. The projected 35% growth in the renewable energy and infrastructure sectors by late 2026 is not just a statistic, it represents a critical turning point in the global economy. The initiatives launched during Davos 2025 will catalyze a series of changes that will redefine energy systems, infrastructure development, and global cooperation. Stakeholders across all sectors must prepare for this transition, as it presents both challenges and unprecedented opportunities for sustainable growth and development.